Hi everyone, Kate Hilliard, registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator at the Coastal Bend Food Bank, here to talk to you about how easy it is to incorporate and cook vegetables for your everyday family meals. We know that vegetables are super healthy, packed with vitamins, minerals, and fiber, but how do we make it so that they taste good and that the whole family can enjoy them? Well, stick with me and I'll show you exactly how we're going to do that in all our recipes. So one great way to get your vegetables in and to make them taste great is roasting them. So roasting just means that you're cooking on high heat and that you're coating your vegetables in some oil. So I have some asparagus here. This is a great way to get your kids involved. And one of the things they can do with asparagus is actually snap off the ends, just like that. So they go about, you want to be about an inch or so, maybe up to 2 inches. So what's great about asparagus is that it does grow in our area, so we can actually buy it pretty local. I know that I have some in my backyard, and so it actually has 2 seasons that it grows in. And it's a non-starchy vegetable, and so very low in carbohydrate, and can bring just a lot of flavor. It pairs very well with fish. So we've snapped off the ends of the asparagus, and this is a great thing to add to your compost pile as you're gardening. So I like to kind of save on dishes, and I'm actually going to just drizzle some oil over here. And I am using olive oil, and this is really good to cook with, of course. But the olive oil is great for its monounsaturated fats. So that's our heart-healthy fat that we do want more of. So we want to kind of avoid the saturated fats, definitely the trans fat. So this is a nice, natural, monounsaturated, of course, pressed from olives. Now this is the same technique that you can use for any of your vegetables. So Brussels sprouts, it can be sweet potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower. I'm going to add a little bit of salt to our asparagus. Now sea salt, iodinized salt, Himalayan salt, it all has the same sodium content, ounce per ounce, so it's not necessarily one is healthier than the other. However, sea salt is typically coarser crystals, and we tend to use a little less with more impactful flavor. And then we're gonna pop it in the oven, so at 425 for about 20 minutes or so. All right, so now that our asparagus is done, we're about to take it out, and that's what we want. We want that golden brownness. We see that it even has dried out just a little bit. And this is something that we can kind of finish off with a little bit of, I have some minced jarred garlic here. So you can definitely use fresh, but I always like to make it real easy on families so that they can get the same great flavor and have a little more convenience. And it's really okay to pay for convenience if it makes your family and your choices a lot healthier. Perfectly fine to do. So we did a little bit of garlic on our asparagus, and now I'm just going to finish it off with a little bit of cheese. So Parmesan cheese, mozzarella cheese, whatever you kind of have laying around. And it's nice because it's going to melt a little bit while the asparagus is still warm. And you can serve this up as a nice side vegetable at your dinner table. The next easy way to prepare vegetables is to saute them. And I have here some okra that was grown from our awesome growers here locally, so always check out your farmer's market. And the thing I love about okra is that in South Texas heat, it can still produce, and so we still have vegetables all year around. Now, most people don't like okra because they feel that it's very slimy. And that is because of the soluble fiber that it has inside. And some ways to sort of avoid that is to cook it longer, or like we're gonna do is saute it with some breadcrumbs to actually soak up some of that sliminess to it. So okra is very high in vitamin K, so it's great for healthy blood clotting. It does have that soluble fiber that actually helps reduce our cholesterol. And it's sort of cool because our soluble fiber soaks up that cholesterol like a sponge would soak up water, and then we just get rid of it. So when you see that things like oatmeal or even fruit that's high in soluble fiber can help reduce cholesterol. So okra is just another great vegetable to do that as well. And we are going to pair it with our tomatoes because the vitamin C in our tomatoes will even help absorb a little more iron that we do get from our okra. And so in your skillet, you're going to do probably a medium-high heat. And we are going to add our oil to the pan. Now the oil that I'll be using for cooking our okra and sauteing is grapeseed oil. So grapeseed oil is very high in vitamin E, which is an antioxidant. And so it prevents oxidation. If you think of your cells, as they're aging, antioxidants actually prevent that aging. And also protects a lot of organs and other tissues and things. So grapeseed is very high in vitamin E and has polyunsaturated fat, which isn't as great as monounsaturated, but definitely better than our saturated or our trans. So we're at about 2 tablespoons. And we can always add more during the cooking process. So I have some cherry tomatoes here. And all I want to do is kind of just cut them in half and have them be around the same size as our okra. They are also very high in lycopene, which is a phytonutrient, and that has been shown to prevent a lot of cancers like prostate cancer and ovarian cancers, and even some other cancers like lung and gut. So we do love to add tomatoes wherever we can. And for some people that if they get a little indigestion from things like raw tomatoes, when you do cook it, it actually breaks down the enzymes. And so you may not have as much of a problem with it when it is cooked. And that's for a lot of your vegetables too, even things like bell peppers, those that maybe have some stomach issues with it. Once it's cooked, a lot of times that does subside. And then I do want to add just a tiny bit of onion as well. So I have maybe 1/8 of an onion here that was left in my pantry. And what I really love about this skillet is that you can really incorporate any vegetables that you have in your refrigerator. So you don't have to just keep to 1 or 2 different ones when you're doing a skillet. So what I really like too is that kind of at the end of the week you can see what's in that vegetable drawer and just throw it all in there in one big stir fry. So there's our onion. I'm feeling the heat off our pan, so I'm thinking that's ready to go. And of course, a good indication that your oil is nice and hot is that nice shimmer that you get. Another great point in working with grapeseed oil is that it has a high smoke point. So you can get your oil really hot without it smoking and without it breaking down, which most oils tend to do. So something like olive oil is not so great in maybe stir frying just because you're using a little more higher heat, and that can break it down quite a bit. So we're going to add our onion to it, get that nice sizzle. And then we'll wait for our tomatoes to be right at the end. And with our onion is where we're going to add our okra as well. Okra and the seeds. Now again, because we don't want all that slime coming from the okra, this is where we're going to add a little bit of breadcrumbs. So I have some whole wheat breadcrumbs because it's a whole grain versus just your regular bleached white breadcrumbs. You're going to get a little more fiber from here, and really the taste isn't much different. And we're going to get more flavor from our spices that we put in here. And what I love is really, when I teach classes, I love to build confidence in the kitchen, that it shouldn't be intimidating, and you don't have to get a bunch of measuring tools and things out. Really, it's just using your eyes, using your senses, right? Your sight, your smell, your hearing, and just going for it. That you can just add things to the pan, season things up. You can always fix it later on. It's really okay. It's always an experiment. You never know how it comes out, and that's perfectly fine. So the spice that I'll be using, because it's okra and I'm always trying to think of, Louisiana, I'm going to use a little Old Bay seasoning with it, which I know is used in gumbos, and okra's also definitely a popular staple in our gumbos. So a few shakes of our Old Bay, can always adjust it, add a little more. Then we can add some salt. So your breadcrumbs really don't have much seasoning or flavor from it, so this is where your flavor will come from. So right now, with the oil in the pan, it's actually going to toast up the breadcrumbs, as well as saute our onions, break down that okra a little bit more. So I would say we'll let this go for about 5 to 7 minutes until it all softens up, and then we'll add our tomatoes at the end of it. So a good indicator that our okra is ready for our tomatoes is that it's going to turn a little more of a brilliant green color. So it's brightened up quite a bit, and we do see that everything is getting nice and toasted in there. So now is a great time to add those tomatoes to the dish. And we're just wanting to soften them up, warm them up a bit. And what's great about the lycopene that's in our tomatoes is that when you cook it, it comes out even more, and it has definitely more of a benefit when you have warmed up or heated up tomatoes. So this is a wonderful thing to serve up on the side, or you can even add like a healthier, like a lean ground turkey or lean ground meat to actually make it just a complete meal. And this really beats your fried okra that really we know is not healthy, high in saturated fat, but still a great way to enjoy the health benefits of okra. So now that our simple saute is done, we're going to take it off the heat, add it to our bowl, and there you are. There's our toasted okra with tomatoes. Salads are another great way to get vegetables in and to incorporate a lot of different variety. And of course, every color of vegetables that we consume, we're actually eating a different vitamin or mineral. And so eating, like I like to say, eat the rainbow, allows you to make sure that you're eating a lot of different colors and getting a lot of the different vitamins and minerals that each of them contain. So we're just going to make a simple salad, and I like to start off with a darker green lettuce. So more of like your romaines, not so much your iceberg, because you do get a little more of your vitamin K out of your darker greens. So the darker the fruit or vegetable is, the more nutrition you're also getting out of it. Now, spinach would be great. Spring mix is another awesome lettuce to have that the farmer's market always has an abundance of in season. So we're starting off with our lettuce and then thinking through what we can top our salad with. So I do have some diced tomato, and I have some matchstick carrots. So another great way to kind of look at what veggies you have left over and what you can throw into a salad. Now the whole thing that makes a salad taste great is going to be the dressing that you put on it. And very simple ratios to make your own salad dressing at home with many of the ingredients that you probably have in your pantry. So it's always going to include some oil, some vinegar, and then we can use any herbs, spices, or even sweeteners like our honey. So when I make my salad dressings, I like to use a measuring cup because you can kind of get that 3-to-1 ratio pretty spot on. And we are using our olive oil to make our dressing. So this is a perfect oil to use for salad dressings. And if you do cold pressed, that's even better. So we're going to add about 3 ounces. So on my measuring cup, 3 ounces there, perfect. And that's where I'm going to add my vinegar. And I'll be using a rice vinegar, but you can use white wine, red wine vinegars, apple cider vinegar, any of those work. And so we're going to add just 1 ounce to get to my 4-ounce marker. Beautiful. And so we know that our oil and our vinegar don't like to mix. So this is too, you can use an emulsifier like mustard, honey mustard or Dijon mustard. I'm going to use a little bit of honey to sweeten it up. Just a few little drops in there. And you're going to whisk it together. I like to use just a simple fork in order to whisk it. And right away, I'm going to add it to my lettuce. So we're just going to pour that right in. And you may not need all the dressing. If you have any left over, you can always store it for later use. So I'm all about leftovers and making it easier. And once your dressing is on your lettuce, this is where you're going to want to toss it to let your lettuce be coated in it. I don't like to add my toppings and then add the dressing because it kind of weighs down the salad. And really you want to get the flavor on the lettuce leaves versus the other things that you're adding. So to give it even a little bit more flavor and a little bit nutrition, I am going to use some fresh cilantro. So salads are a perfect way to introduce fresh herbs. and they just give that nice punch, nice pack of flavor. And cilantro will go really nice with our rice vinegar. So just add it in like you would your salad. You can toss it up a bit. And then just incorporating your fresh tomatoes on there, your carrots, and allowing your kids, again, to help you in the kitchen prepare simple things like this. They're going to want to do it more and more. So there you have it. There's just your simple dinner salad with our rice, vinegar, cilantro dressing. Another great technique to get those vegetables on the kitchen table is to steam them. Now, the best way to steam is, of course, to have a steam basket like I have in here. And steaming just means that you're cooking with water. That's how you're cooking your vegetable. So I have about 2 inches of water. I have my steam basket in my pot here. And we're going to allow that to come to a boil. So high heat on it. And so while that's heating up is where I'm going to chop and prepare my veggies. So I have some broccoli, and we just want to cut off the big stem there. And then another great way to get kids in the kitchen, they can pull off those florets. And kids tend to like broccoli. That's one thing I'm really excited about when kids tell me that how much they eat and love their broccoli. So just another way to enjoy it. So we're going to pull off. We can use our knife as well to get our little florets going. Other great vegetables to steam would be cauliflower or beets, Brussels sprouts. So anything that's a little hard and fibrous, that nice fiber that we get from it. So now we're going to add it to our pot here. So the steam, we're steaming, that's it. That's what we want. So you're going to add it to our little steam tray. So one thing about steaming is that some of the nutrients do get lost in the water, and that's simply okay. You can take it and actually use that vegetable water to put in your broths and to even make soups and stews out of it. So you're still getting that nutrition right back in there. But overall, you don't lose a ton of nutrients, so it's better to steam and enjoy it and eat your vegetables this way than not to do it at all. So we've let our broccoli steam for about 5 to 7 minutes. So we're about to take it out of our steamer. So again, this is where you want to be really careful because you're working with a lot of hot heat happening. And we're going to take just a slotted spoon, and I'm going to add my broccoli to the bowl. And that's where I like that bright greenness. It's still going to have a little bit of a crunch there and not be overcooked, right? Because overcooked vegetables, it kind of reminds you of school lunch back in the day. So this is going to be super tasty. We're going to hit it with just a little bit of sea salt. And you don't have to be afraid of adding salt to vegetables to make them taste a little better. We get most of our salt and sodium intake when we eat outside the home, like fast food or processed foods. And so just adding it when you're at home cooking is perfectly fine. And so there you have your easy steamable broccoli. We've seen 4 easy ways to prepare vegetables at home. So whether that's roasting them, sautéing, making a salad, or steaming them, you have a ton of great options to cook healthy in your own home. So we had a lot of fun cooking different vegetables in different ways, and I want you to always know when you go to your local farmer's market, you can always ask the farmer the best way to cook their produce. So whether that's roasting it or sautéing it, you know that you're going to get all the health benefits from locally grown food.